This video is going to be over the magic of the uses of the progressive toner, and it has to be this particular toner that you are using. Model numbers might differ, so I'm not going to bother to give a model number, but we all know that it's a Greenlee, and from there. Now, the magic about this toner, stuff that a lot of people don't know, is the fact that this switch right here, this position, although down here it lists as off, it is not the off position. This thing is better than you imagined as far as what it actually does. If you take this in this position, the straight up and down position, and you take this red clip and you clip it to the positive lead of a battery, and take this negative wire, the black wire, and tie it to the negative lead of a battery, you'll get a red light, which means polarly correct. That's what it means. If you take this red lead and put it on the negative of the battery, and take that black lead and put it on the positive of the battery, you'll get a green light, which means backward. If you're working with a fire panel or a security system, and you go out to the device and you clip this red lead onto the positive lead, positive terminal of the device you're testing, and put the black lead on the negative terminal of what you're testing, this light will start flashing red, indicating DC pulsed voltage is going through that device. If it's on solid red and it's a zone panel, that's fine. If it's on solid red and you're dealing with an addressable panel, that's not so good, because either the data is pulsing so fast you can't see the pulses, or you're on a power line. Power line meaning it's got a solid 24 volts going to it instead of the data voltage going to it. That is the beauty about using this in the off position. You have that's the beauty. It will tell you whether you have battery voltage. It'll tell you if you have data voltage. It'll tell you whether it's reversed, forward, or whatever. It will tell you that. In the other position, called the tone position, let's back that out a little bit. In the other position, called the tone position, there's magic to this one too. Everybody that's ever dealt with one of these knows that when you flip it into that position and you take this toner here, again, we'll back it out a little more, like that. If you take this toner here and you put it up on these clips right here, that you're going to get a tone. Everybody knows that. However, there's one thing a lot of you may or may not know. Under the principle of taking this toner right here and running it down these lines, the tone is barely noticeable until you get to right here where you have true metal. Then it gets loud. You can use this to your favor when it comes down to chasing wires. What you do is you take this guy here and clip him to a piece of conduit, or clip him to a ceiling grid, clip him to something in the building that is grounded, that is a negative source, if you will. Now, this black lead is as big as the building. If you take this red wire and you clip it to your wire, whatever you're looking for on the other end is suddenly amplified seriously, because one side of it is the building instead of the other wire. You're not chasing down a wire that, let's just say, it starts over here and goes over here. Well, if the wire starts here and goes over here, you have to know that to be able to find it. And you have to almost know exactly where it's at to be able to find it. A good example of what I'm talking about is right here. Everybody knows this is a 66 block. This 66 block has 2 wires that come into it. Well, if you don't know, if you've got 6 of these in the same room and you don't know which one it is, then you're going to run your wand down this 66 block trying to find your wire, and you can't find a tone. You can't find one on the next one. You can't find one on the next one. And you're wondering, how in the world am I going to find something that's so light? Well, if your red lead is clipped to the one and your black lead is clipped to a ground source, and you need to verify, and you can use this same tester to clip onto shorted wires, or you can use it to clip one onto, let's say, the conduit, and clip the other to a screw that holds in the trim plate on an outlet. Those two should be shorted, because that screw on that outlet is supposed to be a grounded screw. So if you use that to find out that it is shorted, then you take the negative and you clip it onto the conduit or that screw or ceiling grid or anything that is grounded, and take the red wire and fasten it to the wire you're looking for. Then you go into the room that you're looking for and you push that crazy button, turn it up as loud as you can, and literally start swaying that thing through the room, and you'll start to hear that tone. And then you close in on that tone, and closing and closing, and it's just as if you were starting here and going all the way down this wire to get to these clips. Once you're in that room and you're on what you believe is the terminal to which that wire is connected, it will get fairly loud right there. One test you can do in that room to verify you're on that wire is to get a piece of wire, tie it to ground somewhere in that room, and take your grounded wire and touch it to that wire. Your tone should go out because you have shorted out the tone. If it doesn't go out, if it doesn't change at all, you're on the wrong wire. And keep looking in the area that you're at to spot that wire. If, by chance, you touch to that wire and it gets louder, that means you have a broken circuit. And the broken circuit could very well be the spot that you're clipped to as far as reading the tone itself. And again, one of the most famous places for that to happen is on this. The wire isn't clipped in there very good at all, and when you do that continuity check and you touch that wire, it gets louder. So you pull that wire off and repunch it and touch it again, and boom, it goes out. There was your problem. It wasn't clipped down to a point that it actually broke the insulation or it started pulling away from the clip. And all this was found really fast because you knew the secrets of how to use this thing. So just to reiterate, in the off position, not only can it tell you the polarity of the wire that you're looking at, but it can also read data. So if you're looking for some wires and you don't know which ones are the data and which ones aren't, you can take this guy and hook it into a live circuit all the way up to 50 volts, I believe, and you can read things. As a matter of fact, although it doesn't really like doing it, you can hook it up to a telephone line and call that line and watch that light flash, because ringing voltage on a phone line is 110 volts. So it'll sit there and flash that it's being called. This is a way you can test that line without even using a butt set. You can do some things with this that you don't even need a butt set. And quite often I've had this thing on my side and not even pulled out a meter. Didn't have to. If you take that thing and put it in the middle, and you know the difference of the brightness between 12 volts, 24 volts, and any other voltage, you could touch it and check the brightness of that light. That light's real dim, okay, I'm reading through a resistor. That light's a little bit brighter, okay, I'm reading right off the battery. That light's a little, you can use it as far as checking power circuits, all because this switch is in the off position. And remember, if the light is red, that means you are polarly correct. It means this red lead is on the positive, and it means that this black lead is on the negative. If it shows green, it will go ahead and keep doing the test you want to do. You just have to remember it's backward. That way, if you have any logic circuits that switch from positive to negative, you can watch it switch by watching it go from red to green. It will do that. That is the magic of having this guy in your arsenal of tools. And it is one of the most useful and, as far as I'm concerned, least expensive pieces of tools that you could have and use for troubleshooting. That is all I have to say about the progressive meter. Use this and have fun. Talk to you later.